What does it take to win a state championship?
Skill, good players, and lucky. Our goal every time we start practicing basketball is to win a state championship.
During the 92-93 basketball season, the Hillcrest Wildcats of Dalzell were the team to watch. The small gym intimidated opponents. There was no air conditioning, the fans were on top of you, and your chances of winning were slim.
Most teams, when they came in, they couldn't play in that environment. It was almost like they were scared to walk in the door.
And we had guys that knew their roles, knew their jobs, and we went in and everybody did their job. And we practiced hard, and we played, and we went out and had fun.
You come to the gym, and people are already lined up to try to get into a 5-bleacher gym with one stage and one wall.
And you had the fans pulling on their shorts when they're taking the ball out, you know.
The atmosphere was just electric. I mean, from the time we walked out or jogged out, you could just feel the electricity.
Former NBA star and Basketball Hall of Famer Ray Allen was the spark to the electric atmosphere. Most people recognize him for his three-point shot, but in the 90s, things were different.
Ray was a real high flyer, so it was like you saw all this stuff early on, but you just didn't know it would go into the NBA in the later years.
He was quiet, but he showed what he wanted you to do just by his actions.
We could have put him on the varsity, but I had a rule that all ninth graders had to play B team. I told my JV coach, you won't see Ray Allen on the JV team.
I didn't realize how good Ray was until I got older.
One summer in particular, something just a switch hit, and it put him a little bit above everybody else as far as talent is concerned.
The man on the sidelines that pushed these players to be their best was head coach James Smith.
Coach Smith was go out here, play hard, go out here, stand for something.
He wanted the best out of us, and he pushed us into being better.
He would go in on us, I must say.
Sometimes we'd have to run just because.
We won a game, but we didn't get a dunk in the game. We didn't have any dunks that game. We had to run the next day in practice because he said we didn't put on a show for the fans. So at that point, I was like, man, we won the game. Is this dude crazy? We won.
I don't remember that.
But it sounds like something you make them run for.
Yeah, I'll probably make them run for it.
The only thing I didn't like was the running, of course. The sprints, the suicides, we called them.
He knew the times to have fun, but when it was time to get prepped for a game and ready for a game and, you know, first coming into practice, your seriousness had to be there.
He was a disciplinarian, but he knew when to stay out of the way.
I might be hard on players, but the reason I'm hard on players, when they get out in life, they'll face some type of situation, and they don't know how to handle that. They just fall apart.
It was kind of tough, man, but after the years went by, you respect him. Like, he is my best coach, man. The coach I was mostly in tune with.
Coach Smith wasn't the only person pushing these players to be their best. There was another man on the sidelines with him, and you could always find him in a red jumpsuit.
William Bowie, he was like a volunteer coach, and first he didn't start off being a volunteer coach. He always sat behind me and always criticizing the things I do and how I'm playing the game, who I sub, and he was just, I listened to him, and sometimes he said some pretty good stuff. So we brought him on and embraced him as a volunteer coach, and all the players embraced him, liked him and stuff, and he's just an outstanding man.
He was always trying to provoke us to do better, and we had no idea who he was at the time.
Bowie was so close, I think, to all of us.
He meant everything to us being on that sideline. We knew we could count on with that red suit on, that red sweatsuit.
Every game we go to, he used to have on that red suit.
When we were playing bad, he would say stuff like, "You're boo-booing all over these people's court." It's touching talking about him because he meant so much to us, man.
To get to the state championship, the Wildcats would have to get past Hartsville, a team they had beaten twice during the regular season.
In the regular season, you play them, it's not intense, and it's not serious, but you playing get to the state championship.
It's no holds barred. It's hard to beat a team 3 times. They knew us. They knew all of our little nuances. They knew everything we were going to do. One of the toughest games I've ever played in.
Had a good player, Robert Blakely, called him Moo Moo.
Roderick Blankney, I believe was his name, and he was just lights out. He could shoot the ball.
Roderick Moo Moo Blakeney, man, I mean, I've never seen anybody like him, you know, scoring the basketball ever, like at that size and what he could do.
Pulling threes all over the court.
To face him 3 times and to beat him 3 times, we knew it was going to be tough.
He dug deep that game, and but he dug deep every game, but he just turned it up a little bit.
I think we would have lost if he had his hands on that ball the last second, 10 seconds on the clock, and they had the ball coming down the court. So we ran 2 people at Moo Moo. The coach had to call timeout. I put Ray Allen on the inbound player. When they threw the ball in, Ray tipped the ball and stole it, and we called timeout. And the timeout had to told Ray, I said, 3 or 4 people come at you, somebody will be free. Ray got the ball, 3 people came at him.
I remember saying, what in the world is Ray doing? Jumping in the air with nowhere to go.
And Ray made an outstanding pass to Ronnie.
Luckily, he found him. I didn't see T down there on the baseline.
I thought Ronnie was going to walk because he was wide open, and he hesitated.
I'm looking at it like in awe. It was almost like I was having a out of body. Like I'm just looking at it like, wow, this dude has a wide open layup to win a game. That doesn't happen. How does that happen?
We knew like that's an easy layup, in which he scored it. The rest is history. On to the state championship.
That game was the biggest emotional roller coaster of a game.
It was a little overwhelming, to be quite honest.
It was something to remember, man. Like you got the whole town, even Sumter. Even though we were right outside of Sumter, but you had Sumter County, the whole county backing us going there.
Big arena. A lot of us had big eyes when we walked in. We practiced and loosened up, and I think it showed a little bit in the first part of the game. We had a little bit of nerves, but after we settled down a little bit, it was good.
We started the game so on fire.
The second half, I think we got away from playing defense and got away from playing team ball.
And before we knew it, they were right back in the game.
And this team to cut down that lead so drastically on us.
We needed somebody to come off the bench, like an energy player, and this person was Dennis Nickens.
And then for us to get that spark again back in the fourth quarter and, you know, put the game back in control.
The Wildcats will go on to defeat James F. Burns High 71-63 and claim the 4A basketball state championship, the only one in school history. Hillcrest High School would eventually be converted into a middle school, but that championship is still remembered.
That picture is still hanging up there, man. Can't ever take that away from us. That's about all we got to go back to, you know? Don't have high school to go back to, so that's about it, that one picture.